You're listening to The Hour of the Time. I'm William Cooper.
And I'm Carolyn Nelson.
Last night, I read to you over 2 hours of The Hour of the Time, a Department of State publication, number 3972, entitled Our Foreign Policy, ordered, written by Harry S. Truman and signed by Harry S. Truman. It was from the General Foreign Policies Series, number 26, released September 1950. Printed by the Division of Publications, Office of Public Affairs, Department of State. Ladies and gentlemen, a lot of people called today wanting to know what the name of the publication was and where to get it. Now, I have 400 pages of documentation to read to you over the air to prove that not only was there a conspiracy, it has been carried out over the years, and the Constitution is no longer the supreme law of the land. In fact, it was thrown in the trash can, flushed many years ago. I cannot babysit you any longer. I've been telling you every episode of The Hour of the Time to have a pen and paper with you by your side, and I expect you to do it. They have declared war upon us. They have destroyed this country. For all intents and purposes, it is gone. I have the documentation here in front of me. It is a fact. It is not speculation. I did not make this up. And if you listen to every episode of The Hour of the Time, 2 hours each day, you're going to get this documentation. I'm going to give you the names of these publications and these documents every single night. You write them down. You go to your libraries. You go to the Library of Congress. You go to the Congressional Register. You go to your state university, and you find these documents, and don't you call us and ask us to do it for you. We're going to publish this entire set of documents. We do not have a publication date yet. We are just now making the arrangements. We could not even reveal the existence of these documents until we were ready to do this series. And until we had 100 copies made and into the hands of 100 trusted Kaji intelligence operatives around the world. Now, you have to pull your weight. And if you can't pull your weight, turn off your radio, go to your bed, pull the covers up over your head, and stay there. Because we're going to take our country back. The law is on our side. We do not have our legal constitutional government anymore. There is a counterfeit, treasonous government occupying the Federal District of Columbia, known as Washington, D.C. Most of the politicians who have served in that government since before World War II have been traitors and have consciously, with full knowledge, wittingly sold us down the drain, have destroyed the Constitution, are propelling us into a one-world totalitarian socialist order. And if you'll listen to this broadcast, I will prove it to you. Last night, in the 2 hours, reading from this document, Our Foreign Policy, Department of State Publication 3972, General Foreign Policy Series number 26, released September 1950, you heard Harry S. Truman institute as foreign policy, as the foreign policy of the executive branch and the State Department of the United States of America, all of the systems and the policies leading to one world government, and he admitted it in his own words. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I am calling tonight for the formation of the second Continental Army of the United States of America, which will be made up of legal constitutional militia units from each local town, county, or city across the United States. Now I read to you from the Bill of Rights. Amendment 2. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. You have been lied to over the years. You've been told that the National Guard is the militia, and I'm going to tell you now that is a lie. It is a scam. The militia is spelled out in the law. The United States Senate in 1981 ruled exactly what a militia is, and they ruled that it is not the National Guard or any component of the National Guard. Now you pay attention. United States Code 1988 edition. United States Code 1988 edition. Containing the general and permanent laws of the United States in force on January the 3rd, 1989. Prepared and published under authority of Title II, United States Code, Section 285B, by the Office of the Law Revision Council of the House of Representatives. This is Volume 13, Title 30, Mineral Lands and Mining, to Title 35, Patents. United States Government Printing Office, Washington, D.C., 1989. I quote, on page 635, ladies and gentlemen, page 635, subsection 312, subsection 313, that's subsection 313, appointments and enlistment age limitations. To be eligible for original enlistment in the National Guard, a person must be at least 17 years of age and under 45, or under 64 years of age, and a former member of the regular Army, regular Navy, regular Air Force, or regular Marine Corps. To be eligible for reenlistment, a person must be under 64 years of age. To be eligible for appointment as an officer of the National Guard, a person must, 1, be a citizen of the United States, and 2, be at least 18 years of age and under 64. Now I read for the United States Code 1988 edition, containing the general and permanent laws of the United States in force on January 3rd, 1989. Prepared and published under authority of Title II, United States Code, Section 285B, by the Office of the Law Revision Council of the House of Representatives, Volume 3. This is Volume 3, Title 10, Armed Forces. United States Government Printing Office, Washington, 1989. I read to you from page 95, under Title 10, Armed Forces, Chapter 13, the Militia, Section 311, Militia Composition and Classes, Section 312, Militia Duty Exemptions, Section 311, Militia Composition and Classes. Listen carefully. A. The militia of the United States consists of all able-bodied males, at least 17 years of age, and, except as provided in Section 313 of Title 32, under 45 years of age, who are, or who have made a declaration of intention to become citizens of the United States, and of female citizens of the United States who are commissioned officers of the National Guard. B. The classes of the militia are: 1. The organized militia, which consists of the National Guard and the Naval Militia, and number 2, this is what is most important to all of you listening, the unorganized militia, which consists of the members of the militia who are not members of the National Guard or the Naval Militia. And ladies and gentlemen, that is you. It specifically states in the law, the militia of the United States consists of all able-bodied males, at least 17 years of age, and except as provided in Section 313 of Title 32, under 45 years of age, who are or who have made a declaration of intention to become citizens of the United States. female citizens of the United States who are commissioned officers of the National Guard. That's under the law. If you're a female, you want to be a part of our militia, we'll take you anyway. Because the Constitution has a totally different definition. But I wanted to make sure that you know that formation of a militia unit in your town is not illegal. All able-bodied males between 17 years and 45 years of age are considered to be the militia. Understand that. Form your unorganized militia units now. Do not accept anyone into your small unit who you have not known for many years. Do not accept anyone into your militia unit who is or has worked for the United States government to the point of retirement. If they're accepting a retirement check from the United States government, tell them, I'm sorry, but we cannot accept you in our particular militia unit. Do not accept anyone who has served as an officer in the armed forces of the United States of America unless they have publicly resigned their commission and it has been accepted by the United States government. If you do, they can be recalled at any time in secret and can betray you at any time. Now, you're going to have to use a lot of common sense, folks. Do not institute any hostilities whatsoever. Do not commit any illegal or criminal acts whatsoever. Do not even allow anyone in your militia group to even give the appearance that any criminal act has been perpetrated or that any laws have been broken. If this illegal, counterfeit and treasonous government, which has destroyed our constitutional government, comes to your local area, your state, your city, and attempts to pull off another Waco, Texas, or a Randy Reaver, or to confiscate anyone's home without having been convicted in a court of law by a jury of their peers, then you must activate your militia units and go to their aid. You must do that. This is no joke, ladies and gentlemen. We are engaged in serious, very serious business tonight. We are not calling for a rebellion against the United States government. We are calling for the American people to get off their butts, form their legal, constitutional, approved, and legally approved under the United States Code militia units to reinstate the Constitution as the legal, lawful, supreme law of this land. Our goal is ultimately to arrest those who have committed treason against the United States of America, to bring them before a grand jury, to charge them with treason, to try them, and if they are found guilty, to hang them. They declared war upon us. Our legal and lawful right to reinstate our legal and lawful constitutional government is undisputed, has been laid out in the ideals and principles of our founding fathers, is spelled out verbatim in the Declaration of Independence, and has been understood as an unwritten law of the land since the inception of this nation. And we intend to exercise our rights. From this moment on, this radio broadcast will be the voice of the real American people, the real constitutional government of the United States of America. And we will not shirk our duties here. We expect you not to shirk your duties wherever you may be. I assure you that once the American people learn what's in these documents that I am revealing to you now, and in other documents which we are uncovering, when the American people stand up to these criminals, these traitors, they will begin to bail out of Washington, D.C. like rats leaving a sinking ship because they are cowards, have always been cowards. And that's why they have engaged in this sneaky, lying, deceptive, cowardly instigation, the destruction of the United States of America, to form a one-world totalitarian socialist government. You want to know why public officials are voting to take away your firearms? Well, stay tuned, folks. Don't go away. I'll be right back.
But things are much worse than they used to be. It's a hell of a time because the federal gone mad. The brothers in the days, the wars in your hands. People all over in every town. Buildings on fire, burning down to the ground. Out of control, people pour apart. Little something on the neighborhood, every door. Muggles, looters, killers and thieves. Now everywhere you look, it's just another disease. 300 million people on a planet made for three. Now who's gonna set this helltown free?
Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to know why public officials are voting to take away your firearms, first research their history. Look at who they are. Look at the organizations they belong to. Look at where they went to school. Don't listen to the promises that they gave you to get into office. Watch what they do. And go to your local library. No matter where you live in the United States, tell the librarian to show you where the United States code books are shelved. There are 25 books in the set, folks. They are reddish-brown in color. They are printed by the government printing office in Washington, D.C. These hardcover books are printed every 8 to 10 years. They are updated with annual softback supplements each year until a new hardcover issue comes out. At the present time, the 1989 United States code books are on the shelf. The 1989. You want, ladies and gentlemen, you want Public Law 87-297. Public Law 87-297. That's in Title 22, United States Code, Section 2551. If your library has the 1982 edition, which some libraries still do, go to Volume 9. Volume 9. You'll find it on page 554. Here you will find Public Law 87-297, which calls for the United States to eliminate its armed forces. This law was signed for the United States in 1961. John Fitzgerald Kennedy signed it, and every president since has worked to enact its provisions. The government knows you will not approve, which is why they want to take away your firearms before you find out that it's already been done. Already been done. The Brady Bill is a scam. All this firearms legislation that they are introducing is a scam. It's already been done. The Secretary of the Treasury, all he has to do is sign his name to a document, and it's all over. All over. What they're doing now is trying to garner a public consensus of support so that they will not be found out and hung as the traitors that they are. Then turn to page 555, and remember this is only in the 1982 edition. Here you will find the definition of what the government means by disarmament. You can find it on the lower right-hand side of the page. The disarmament calls for the elimination of our armed forces. It also calls for the elimination of weapons of all kinds. This is Title 22, United States Code, Section 2552, Subtitle A. Then turn to page 557. Here you will find it stated in Item A, control, reduction, and elimination of armed forces. And as item D, elimination of armed forces. These traitors in Washington have been operating in concert with the Soviet Union to bring about a one-world government. The collapse of the Soviet Union was from the top down and not from the cries of the people and is part of a well-orchestrated plan. What you need to know is that your armed forces are being eliminated from national control, which in turn wipes out our sovereignty as a nation. It's already been done on paper. It must be done with the public approval. In 2 stages, we shall have no more Army, no more Navy, and no more Air Force. In the 3rd stage, we will have a zero military. Before stage 1 closes, all citizen-owned guns will be banned. Actually, that's after stage 2, folks. We are in the 2nd year, ladies and gentlemen, of stage 2. Public Law 87-297 is further explained in the State Department document called Publication 7277. Your librarian can also furnish you a copy, or could, until they found out what we were doing, and now we have run a check, and we can only find that publication in 2 libraries in the entire country. It has been removed. I'm not going to tell you which libraries, because I don't think they know it's there, and I don't want to give it away. If you are diligent in your search, you will find it. If not, we will furnish you with a copy when these documents are published. The blueprint for the Peace Race is a 35-page booklet printed by the United States Arms Control and Disarmament Agency as publication number 4, General Series 3, released May 1962. Publication number 4 is the unabridged version of State Department Document 7277, and we will read both of these documents to you over the air during this series. Both of these booklets explain how our military is to be reduced to 2.1 million men. China and the Soviets are to reduce to that level also, and are in the process of doing it. At this point, we are in stage 1, at which time we are to transfer on a permanent basis 1/2 of our armed forces to be merged with the Russian and Chinese armies. In stage 2, the remaining 1/2 of our armed forces is then turned over to the same Security Council of the United Nations. The person in charge of the merged armies must, by prior agreement, always be a Russian. We will document that later in the series. The world's smaller nations turn 100% of their armies over to the same Undersecretary of the Security Council in stage 2. President George Bush and Admiral William J. Crow refer to this process as being in transition. The exchange of officers between the Russian and what used to be Soviet bloc countries and the United States military has been taking place for some time. We now are training Russian officers in our military academies, and some of our officers are attending Russian military academies. This plan was implemented a long time ago, ladies and gentlemen. The law has been amended several times. People read about this in my book and sent me letters. In the letters, they say, oh, yeah, but everybody got mad, and they made an amendment to the law that said that nothing in this law is construed to mean that they're going to take guns away from the American citizens. Well, tonight I'm going to read you what that really says, and then you're going to show what they did after that. Because it says, except under the law or under a treaty, and both of those have been accomplished. United States Code 1988 edition, you will find this law, as it has been amended, containing the general and permanent laws of the United States in force on January the 3rd, 1989. Prepared and published under authority of Title II, United States Code, Section 285B, by the Office of the Law Revision Council of the House of Representatives. Volume 9, Title 22, Foreign Relations and Intercourse, to Title 25, Indians. United States Government Printing Office, Washington, 1989. Going to quote verbatim, ladies and gentlemen. Pay attention. Subchapter 1, General Provisions. Section 2551, Congressional Statement of Purpose. Listen to this lie. This is the Congressional Statement of Purpose. This is an admission by the Congress of the United States as to their ultimate goal. And I quote, "An ultimate goal of the United States is a world which is free from the scourge of war and the dangers and burdens of armaments, in which the use of force has been subordinated to the rule of law, and in which international adjustments to a changing world are achieved peacefully. It is the purpose of this chapter to provide impetus toward this goal by creating a new agency of peace to deal with the problem of reduction and control of armaments, looking toward ultimate world disarmament." Under our Constitution, that is unconstitutional, it is criminal, it is treasonous. They have not changed the Constitution of the United States. The second article in amendment guarantees us our right to have a militia, and it specifically states that our right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Pay attention. Title 22, Foreign Relations and Intercourse, page 652, same volume. Public Law 87-297, Title 1. Definitions as used in this chapter. A. The terms arms control and disarmament mean the identification, verification, inspection, limitation, control, and reduction or elimination of armed forces and armaments of all kinds under international agreement, including the necessary steps taken under such an agreement to establish an effective system of international control or to create and strengthen international organizations for the maintenance of peace. Public Law 87-297, Title 1, Subsection 3, September 26, 1961. Statute 631, Subchapter 2, Organization. United States Arms Control and Disarmament Agency. There is established an agency to be known as the United States Arms Control and Disarmament Agency. Page 654, subtitle 2568, Functions. The Director is authorized and directed to exercise his powers in such manner as to ensure the acquisition of a fund of theoretical and practical knowledge concerning disarmament. To this end, the Director is authorized and directed under the direction of the President, 1, to ensure the conduct of research, development, and other studies in the field of arms control and disarmament. 2, to make arrangements including contracts, agreements, and grants for the conduct of research, development, and other studies in the field of arms control and disarmament by private or public institutions or persons. And 3, to coordinate the research, development, and other studies conducted in the field of arms control and disarmament by or for other government agencies in accordance with procedures established under Section 2575 of this title. In carrying out his responsibilities under this chapter, the Director shall, to the maximum extent feasible, make full use of available facilities, government and private. The authority of the Director with respect to research, development, and other studies shall be limited to participation in the following insofar as they relate to arms control and disarmament. A. Control, reduction, and elimination of armed forces and armaments. The detection, identification, inspection, monitoring, limitation, reduction, control, and elimination of armed forces and armaments, including thermonuclear, nuclear missile, conventional, bacteriological, chemical, and radiological weapons. Now, folks, they make it sound like they're talking just about armed forces of nations, and that is not true, as you will find out later. D. The control, reduction, and elimination of armed forces and armaments in space, in areas on and beneath the Earth's surface, and in underwater regions. And in K, methods for the maintenance of peace and security during different stages of armed control and disarmament. You'll find out what they're talking about different stages when we get to 7277 and the blueprint for the peace race. The scientific, economic, political, legal, social, psychological, military, and technological factors related to the prevention of war with a view to a better understanding of how the basic structure of a lasting peace may be established. M. Other related problems. Such related problems as the Director may determine to be in need of research, development, or study in order to carry out the provisions of this chapter. The Director is authorized and directed to prepare for the President, the Secretary of State, and the heads of such other government agencies as the President may determine recommendations concerning United States arms control and disarmament policy. Provided, however, that no action shall be taken under this chapter or any other law that will obligate the United States to disarm or to reduce or to limit the armed forces or armaments of the United States, except pursuant to the treaty-making power of the President under the Constitution, or unless authorized by further affirmative legislation by the Congress of the United States. Nothing contained in this chapter shall be construed to authorize any policy or action by any government agency which would interfere with, restrict, or prohibit the acquisition, possession, or use of firearms by an individual for, and get this, folks, the lawful purpose of personal defense, sport, recreation, education, or training. Which means if there's a law that prohibits it, they can interfere all they want, ladies and gentlemen. The law has already been accomplished. Treaties have already been written, signed, and approved by the Senate. We are in the process of disarming not only ourselves, but the rest of the world. Our armed forces will be assigned to the United Nations, and elements of what used to be the forces of the old Soviet Union will also be assigned to the United Nations as a one-world police force. It's already a done deal. It's already been legislated. It's already been treated. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time I have to tell you that our sponsor, Swiss America Trading, has nothing to do with what I am saying. And quite frankly, I don't even know if he knows that I'm doing it. So we may not even have a sponsor after he finds out. However, I'm sure that he does know because he listens to this program, and so does everybody else at Swiss America Trading. What's coming is not going to be fun. It's not going to be pretty. And no matter what happens, ladies and gentlemen, if we are destroyed with a stroke of a sword overnight, you're still going to be slaves in a totalitarian socialist New World Order. If nothing happens, you're still going to be slaves in a totalitarian socialist New World Order. You're going to see the devaluation of the dollar to a degree that you've never dreamed possible. You're going to see the elimination of the middle class, which is the real goal of NAFTA and GATT. You're going to see hardship in this nation that you never dreamed of. It's right here in all these documents, ladies and gentlemen. They've already prepared it all for us. Anyone who won't go along with it is going to simply be put in a labor camp or eliminated. And they have particularly and especially targeted Orthodox Jews, Christians, and followers of the Nation of Islam, or anybody else who will not bow down to the God of their New World religion. Which, by the way, most of the religions that you think are on your side, most of the pastors who preach to you in your churches, if they are members of the World Council of Religions, they are in the process of uniting all the different religions of the world into one, and that will be the New World religion. It will be a humanist religion, where the religion changes according to the needs of man, where man is in a state of becoming and will ultimately become a god. We've been betrayed not only by our government, but by our churches, our ministers, and I don't care what religion you belong to, ladies and gentlemen. unless your church does not belong to or is not affiliated with the World Council of Religions or the World Parliament of Religions, you've been hooked. Now, you need to prepare. You need at least 2 years' supply of food. Why do you think these states are passing laws like Arizona just did, stating that no citizen of the state of Arizona can possess at any one time any more than a 3-month supply of food? Why should they care in Phoenix how much food a citizen of the state of Arizona has in their house? The truth is, folks, if you have the food, if you are off the power grid, if you are not in their economic system, they have no control over you. That's why. It's about control. And all the states are beginning to follow this pattern. They're passing laws saying that you cannot have a supply of food. Well, I do, and always will. And I don't care about their illegal, unlawful mandate that I can't have food. A responsible family will provide for emergency, which means they must have food supplies on hand. Call Swiss America Trading, folks. You need to talk to them about getting something that is recognized universally as money. In the next few months and years, you're going to need something that will be accepted universally as money. There's only one thing in the history of the world: precious metals. Call Swiss America Trading now, 1-800-289-2646. Thank them for sponsoring this program. Mention my name, William Cooper. And if it's not mud, ask for all the information that they have to send out to you. And then talk to them about what you can do with some of your assets, or all of your assets, whatever your choice is, to help protect you in what's coming. And it is coming, folks, as you're going to find out, as these programs continue to be aired until they kick me off the air or haul me off to some dungeon somewhere. I'm going to read them all to you. So don't go away. Don't go away, folks. I'll be right back. I continue with Title 22, Foreign Relations and Intercourse, page 657, subsection 2576, paragraph C. And here's where all that was written before gets nullified. And it means that they can do whatever they want. Listen carefully. Prohibition of courts to compel statutory performance or review adequacy of statutory performance of government agencies or director. No court shall have any jurisdiction under any law to compel the performance of any requirement of this action or to review the adequacy of the performance of any such requirement on the part of any government agency, including the agency and the director. So you can't even go see what they're doing. Okay, let's go to Public Law 87-2. Let me start over again. Arms Control and Disarmament Act. For legislative history of acts, see page 2903. Public Law 87-297. 75 Statutes at Large. 631. H.R. 9118. An act to establish a United States Arms Control and Disarmament Agency. And this is from the United States Code, Congressional and Administrative News, Volume 1, 1961. We have many other sources also. United States Statutes at Large, 89th Congress, 1961, First Session. Excuse me. I'm still fighting this throat, folks. I'm forcing my voice over here, and I just hope it lasts. Title 1, Short Title, Purpose and Definitions. Short Title, Section 1. This act may be cited as the Arms Control and Disarmament Act. Purpose, Section 2. An ultimate goal of the United States is a world which is free from the scourge of war and the dangers and burdens of armaments, in which the use of force has been subordinated to the rule of law, and in which international adjustments to a changing world are achieved peacefully. It is the purpose of this act to provide impetus toward this goal by creating a new agency of peace to deal with the problem of reduction and control of armaments, looking toward ultimate world disarmament. And it goes on to repeat the law verbatim, just as I have previously read it to you. It's just another source. This is Public Law 87-297, Laws of the 87th Congress, First Session. Definitions. Section 8, as used in this act. The terms arms control and disarmament means the identification, verification, inspection, limitation, control, reduction, elimination of armed forces and armaments of all kinds under international agreement, including the necessary steps taken under such an agreement to establish an effective system of international control or to create and strengthen international organizations for the maintenance of peace. Title II, Organization, United States Arms Control and Disarmament Agency, Section 21. There is hereby established an agency to be known as the United States Arms Control and Disarmament Agency. The director shall be paid $22,500 per annum. A deputy director shall be paid $21,500 per annum. Assistant director, and his salary is listed as $20,000 per annum. The director, under the direction of the Secretary of State, may establish within the agency such bureaus, offices, and divisions as he may determine to be necessary to discharge his responsibilities under this act, including but not limited to an office of the General Counsel. And it goes into the same articles on research, etc. September 26, Public Law 87-297, Laws of the 87th Congress, First Session, page 710. A. The detection, identification, inspection, monitoring, limitation, reduction, control, and elimination of armed forces and armaments, including thermonuclear, nuclear missile, conventional, bacteriological, chemical, and radiological weapons. Your weapons fall under conventional. B. Techniques and systems of detecting, identifying, inspecting, and monitoring of tests of nuclear, thermonuclear, and other weapons. C. The analysis of national budgets, levels of industrial production, and economic indicators to determine the amount spent by various countries for armaments. D. Listen to this carefully. The control, reduction, and elimination of armed forces and armaments in space, in areas on and beneath the Earth's surface, and in underwater regions. And I'm going to skip down to G. The reduction and elimination of the danger of war resulting from accident, miscalculation, or possible surprise attack, including, but not limited to, improvements in the methods of communications between nations. I skip down to K. Methods for the maintenance of peace and security during different stages of arms control and disarmament. You see, this isn't proposed. They already have stages decided upon, folks. We're in stage 2. Under paragraph L, the scientific, economic, political, legal, social, psychological, military, and technological factors related to the prevention of war with a view to a better understanding of how the basic structure of a lasting peace may be established. M. Such related problems as the director may determine to be in need of research, development, or study in order to carry out the provisions of this act. On page 711, under policy formation. The director is authorized and directed to prepare for the President, the Secretary of State, and the heads of such other government agencies as the President may determine recommendations concerning United States arms control and disarmament policy, provided, however, that no action shall be taken under this or any other law that will obligate the United States to disarm or to reduce or to limit the armed forces or armaments of the United States, and this is the catch, You see, that makes you feel secure, doesn't it? Well, listen to this, people. Except pursuant to the treaty-making power of the President under the Constitution or unless authorized by further affirmative legislation by the Congress of the United States. Now, when they wrote this, they know that the Constitution has been replaced, let me say that again in case you don't know it yet, has been replaced by the United Nations Charter under the United Nations Treaty and the UN Participation Act, pushed through by Harry S. Truman, 33rd degree Freemason, who was the Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Missouri, of the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry Southern Jurisdiction. So when they say under the Constitution, they really mean under the United Nations Charter. And when they say are unless authorized by further affirmative legislation, ladies and gentlemen, that legislation has been passed, and we will read it to you when it comes up to the top of the pile. We go now to page 712. And that's Title 4, General Provisions, General Authority, and the Performance of His Functions. The Director is authorized to, and we go down to paragraph C. Enter into agreements with other government agencies, including the military departments through the Secretary of Defense, under which officers or employees of such agencies may be detailed to the agency for the performance of service pursuant to this act without prejudice to the status or advancement of such officers or employees within their own agencies. D. Procure services of experts and consultants or organizations thereof, including stenographic reporting services as authorized by Section 15 of the Act of August 2, 1946, 5 United States Code 55A, at rates not to exceed $100 per diem for individuals, and to pay in connection therewith travel expenses of individuals, including transportation and per diem in lieu of subsistence, while away from their homes or regular places of business, as authorized by Section 5 of said Act, as amended by 5 United States Code 73B. I skip over to contracts or expenditures, Section 43. The President may in advance exempt actions of the Director from the provisions of law relating to contracts or expenditures of government funds whenever he determines that such action is essential in the interest of United States arms control and disarmament and security policy. So right there, folks, you know they're doing something pretty sneaky because they're exempted from the law of contracts or accountability. Page 714, under security requirements. They're supposed to be working for disarmament. What's to hide there, folks? Security requirements, Section 45A. The Director shall establish such security and loyalty requirements, restrictions, and safeguards as he deems necessary in the interest of the national security and to carry out the provisions of this Act. The Director shall arrange with the Civil Service Commission for the conduct of full field background security and loyalty investigations of all the agency's officers, employees, consultants, persons detailed from other government agencies, members of its General Advisory Committee, advisory boards, contractors and subcontractors, and their officers and employees, actual or prospective. In the event the investigation discloses information indicating that the person investigated may become a security risk or may be of doubtful loyalty, the report of the investigation shall be turned over to the Federal Bureau of Investigation for a full field investigation. The final results of all such investigations shall be turned over to the Director for final determination. And I go all the way over to page 715, in the same, under security requirements. It says, the Atomic Energy Commission finds that the established personnel and other security procedures and standards of the agencies are adequate and in reasonable conformity to the standards established by the Atomic Energy Commission under Section 2165 of Title 42, including those for interim clearance in the subsection B thereof. Any individual granted access to such restricted data pursuant to this subsection may exchange such data with any individual who, A, is an officer or employee of the Department of Defense or any department or agency thereof, or a member of the armed forces, or an officer or employee of the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, or a contractor or subcontractor of any such department, agency, or armed force, or an officer or employee of any such contractor or subcontractor, and B, has been authorized to have access to restricted data under the provisions of Section 2163 or 2455 of Title 42. Now, what do they mean by all this, folks? What do they mean by loyalty? Loyalty to who? Loyalty to what? Well, you never know, folks, because later here you're going to find out that the director of the Disarmament Agency has been given, under the law, the authority to decide. And instead of stating the oath of all of these people are to take in the law, it merely says that the director of the Disarmament Agency shall determine what oath they shall take. And we've already tried to get a copy of the oath that they take, and we're denied. On page 716, appropriation. Section 49A, they are hereby authorized to be appropriated not to exceed $10 million to remain available until expended to carry out the purposes of this Act. Report to Congress, Section 50. The Director shall submit to the President for transmittal to the Congress not later than January 31st of each year a report concerning activities of the agency. Approved September 26, 1961. Now we go to the Congressional Record of the House, 1961, page 20301. The clerk read as follows. Amendment offered by Mr. Morgan on part 2, or page 2, line 2, after the word peacefully, insert a period. The amendment was agreed to, and the clerk read as follows. Definitions. Section 3 is used in this Act. A. The term disarmament includes the control, elimination, reduction, limitation, inspection, verification, or identification of armed forces and armaments of all kinds under international agreement, including the necessary steps taken under such an agreement to establish an effective system of international control or to create and strengthen international organizations for the maintenance of peace. Mr. Quee. Mr. Chairman, I offer an amendment. The clerk read as follows. Amendment offered by Mr. Quee on page 3, line 12. Strike out the word elimination. The Chairman. The gentleman from Minnesota is recognized. Mr. Quee. Mr. Chairman, if we strike out the word elimination in line 12, the definition will read, A. The term disarmament includes the control, reduction, limitation, inspection, verification, or identification of armed forces and armaments of all kinds. I think it would be unwise, dangerous, and foolish to state in a bill that disarmament means the elimination of armed forces and armaments of all kinds. There would be nothing more dangerous for this country. There would be nothing more dangerous in the cause of world peace than to have any important country lay down its arms completely. There is no nation in the world today that is not dominated by another nation, that has eliminated its armed or its armed forces completely. You can see the way the people who have called themselves the non-committed nations in Belgrade look to a country like Russia that has great arms and who has talked and acted tough. I think that is why they talked mostly about colonialism but did not object strenuously to the testing of the atomic bomb by Russia or any of colonialistic and aggressive acts. You can imagine what would happen in case we, under an international agreement, eliminated all armed forces, even every soldier and all weapons whatsoever. All another nation would have to do would be to secretly have a few armed forces and a few devastating weapons, and immediately we would be unable to defend ourselves. Now that there are these new kinds of weapons, especially nuclear weapons. Quite a bit has been written on this subject. There could be arms control at a reasonable level with inspection and an identification of these weapons. Then, if in a sneaky way some country should add a few more troops, should add a few more weapons, it would be difficult for us to protect ourselves. It is just like some people want in this country for nobody to have any weapons at all. Should that happen in this country, we would find the police force unable to cope with the criminals and the honest citizens unable to cope with the police force. We have to have an armed force, and under any international agency, I imagine not only would they have their own police force, but they would have access to the armed forces of those countries in the international agreement who are friendly to the cause in case of an aggression against a peaceful country. So I believe if we are to have a meaningful arms control, we should take out this word elimination and remove it from this bill. The argument continues, ladies and gentlemen, and the outcome is that it is not removed. It is not removed. And we only have a few more moments of this hour left. I'm going to continue this in the next hour at 9 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Mountain, 11 Central, midnight Eastern Standard Time. If you'd like to call our research center and talk to someone, the telephone number is 602-333-5174. That's 602-333-5174. If you'd like to send us a fax, the number is 602-333-2174. That's for a fax. The fax line is 602-333-2174. If you'd like to write us a letter, send it to CAJI, C-A-J-I. That's CAJI, C-A-J-I. Post Office Box 1420. That's Post Office Box 1420. Sholo, spelled S-H-O-W-L-O-W, Arizona 85901. That's CAJI, C-A-J-I. Post Office Box 1420. Sholo, Arizona 85901. Just yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, Brother Stair's ship was confiscated. Confiscated by the United States government. He has been charged with illegally broadcasting without a license, which, ladies and gentlemen, he never did. You see, they never want him to get his ship out on the ocean so that he can broadcast a Christian message to the world. I knew he'd never make it, but I also knew nobody else really gives a damn. Good night, and God bless you all.
We have already